Out this light in, shall we? I've got such gorgeous sunshine beaming in from the window, but because of where my laptop is set up, I'm like, okay, I need to put a light on here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this live weekly guidance. Oh my goodness. Hasn't it been an intense week? Hasn't it been a fantastic week? We had the Equinox last weekend, right? We had the Equinox last weekend. We're a week on from that. Here in the UK, it is beautiful weather. We are going to get snow next week, which I find really funny, or in some parts of the country, because I do find that very, very funny. We have these solar codes, this upgrades, everything like that, and then Archangel Gabriel comes in with his snow, right, and blankets the lands that needs help just purifying whatever is coming up, right? So anyway, today we're going to be looking at the father wound. Oh, it's coming up quite a bit, because when we had the equinox, that was bringing everything to harmony, right? Dark and light, feminine, masculine, it was bringing as much things into harmony as possible for people, right? For everyone. And that looks different depending on who you are and what you're experiencing. But also there is a collective energy that is shifting as well. And what's been noticeable is this energy of this underlying energy, because it doesn't show up in this way, and we'll go into that later on in this video, but this underlying energy of there not being enough room for everybody, there not being enough abundance for everybody. The abundance is a huge theme, and it links very much to the father template that we have, right? And how much work we've done with our own inner father, right? And our, of course, biological or earthly father as well, because we inherit, right? We inherit the wounds and the healings of our parents, right? And they will stay with us until we heal them, until we actively heal them. And when we heal something within ourselves, it has a ripple effect everywhere else. So that is what we're going to be talking about. But first, I just want to do a couple of really quick announcements. If you are watching this when we are going live, do join me and the wonderful Jerome tonight on his Instagram, JROMESHAW. I'll link it in the description box below. We're going to be doing a free workshop, kind of like an interview / free workshop on his Instagram, live tonight at 8:15 p.m. UK time. For everyone that has seen the recent announcement, I'm so excited to be offering an early bird discount for anyone that wishes to join me and Melissa in From Illusion to Love, where we're going to be looking at every wound, every shadow, everything that is blocking you from being on your highest path and embodying your true blissful abundant state and creating your life by design. Everything that we can tap into that is present right now, we're going to be addressing it in this 6-week course that starts on the 4th of April. So there is an early bird offer on right now until the 4th, and you can find that in the description box below as well. And finally, if you are on my email list, you will see this as we send out the email later on today. But my one-to-one offerings are changing to better suit and serve you. So I used to get a lot of questions as to which session would be best. It's a little bit confusing for some people who are a little bit new. So I'm completely rehauling the whole way that I've listed out how I can serve you. So it's going to be very, very simple from now on. It's going to be either, support, angelic support, guidance, clarity from the star realms, the celestial realms, quantum healing, that can be past life regression, karma releasing, trauma bond releasing, through to activation. So priestess activation, priest activation, soul activation. And finally, I'm bringing back the one-to-one coaching because I've been asked a few times for that. So that will be live on my website from next week. But let's get back right down to it. What is going on? What is going on? Hopefully you'll have felt a little bit of relief, right, today. Hopefully you'll have felt a little bit of relief as the energy last week did peak and really intensify over Thursday, Friday. I know there are quite a few people experiencing physical ascension symptoms, so feeling a bit under the weather. Do reach out if you are. Because like I say, I've been conducting a lot of ascension symptom tune-ups to help you ground that energy in, but it's okay. Allow yourself to flow and to do what you need to do, right? That might be you need to take rest. That might be that you need to stop eating certain foods for a while. That might be that you need to fast. That might be that you need to just spend a lot of time outside. That could be various different things. Listen to your body, listen to yourself, right? But now as we're moving into next week, we're being really called to finally release or to start unraveling at least this father wound, right? This masculine wound within us. And it's been highlighted, especially last week, we started kind of tapping into it. You can see in the collective, because every structure that we have in the world is its own energy, it's its own entity, right? The government, the police, all of that, they're their own energies, and they reflect the collective consciousness. And this is really important to understand, because a lot of people are noticing in their local countries that there is a kind of like a tightening of the belt in the way that, and I have a siren going in the background here, which is perfect timing as always. But a lot of people are noticing that, prices are increasing for certain things, new legislations and acts or whatever are coming in. We're not going to get too into kind of like the matrix side of that, because it's not necessary. We don't need to put extra energy there. But what I do just want to say, and what we want to say as the angelic team that are here supporting this live stream right now, is, we know exactly where the collective energy is, especially the collective masculine energy, through those bodies, right? Through those entities, right? Because they are a representation of the masculine energy, because that is order, form, and structure, right? So when there is more being asked for, but we don't have enough, we're being called, or we feel like we don't have enough, because we do always have more than enough. But we're being called to find our truth. We're being called to find our voice. We're being called to stand in our authenticity. And we're being called to understand and see our own inner clarity, our own truth about the matter, and what we choose and who we choose to contract with. We hear a lot of light workers, a lot of way showers talking about, the soul contracts that you have with others, but we forget the contracts that we are continuously recreating on a day-by-day basis with energy bodies out in the world, right? I'm going to say that again. We might be very focused on karma bonds and soul contracts with other people, but we forget that every moment we are creating our own karma, and we're creating our own new contracts every single day that we choose to take someone else's version of sovereignty and authority over our own. Right? So if you've not agreed to something, but you're going along with it anyway, who really has your power? Okay, so it's a big thing. This is a big topic we're going to talk about this week, really big topic, and a big thing that we're going to work on. We're seeing it a lot as well with everyone, regardless as to whether you are spiritual or not. There seems to be this kind of underlying thought pattern that, if you're spiritual, then you're healed. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Okay? If you're spiritual, you're ascended. That is the furthest thing from the truth. We are never as healed as what we think we are, myself included. Everyone that you see on a video like this, regardless as to who they are and how many followers they have, and and regardless as to all of that, right? We are never as healed as we think we are. There is always more to be done, right? There is always more to be done, but that's the beautiful thing, because when we unravel a certain layer, we then start to recreate our world, and then something else will come up which allows us, which shows us what we need to do to create and to refine our vision, right? So then we get to a point where we actually really enjoy seeing shadows appear. We really enjoy seeing kind of contrasting experiences appear with others, right? There's an interesting energy that's kind of peaked up again this week, right? With other light workers and how we share each other's work, and, and who we choose to share, who we don't choose to share and speak about. Like, I personally, if something resonates for me that another beautiful soul is offering, I will share it. I won't even ask them. I'll just be like, this person is doing this call, it's going to be great. And you've heard me do that, right? And if something doesn't resonate, I won't share it, because that's my truth, right? That's my truth. And it's really interesting, because we're getting called out. We are calling ourselves out right now. We're calling ourselves out right now. Where are we going to place our conviction? Because if it's always someone else, you think you're doing something on behalf of someone else, when you haven't had that conversation and they haven't asked you, then, you're kind of bypassing, right? We're bypassing. the healing process. We're bypassing, we're being shown a shadow, we're drawing that out, right, for us to look at. And then we're going, oh, I can't look, I've drawn it out, but then I don't want to look at it. I'm just going to say it's them. They don't want this. It's fine. We're going back into a wounded pattern there, right? So this video might be a little bit triggering for some, right? Because we're calling ourselves out, and it's no one else calling you out. And this is what's really interesting, is that, you know, some of us can find that we do trigger a lot of people, and not intentionally. We don't necessarily say anything, but our ability to see through the veils that are shrouding another, that have been there to protect at some point, but now they're wanting to be pulled back, and we see through them. And sometimes that is triggering for another, because they see that you see their shadow, right? And that can be hard, that can be tough, right? But we just hold space. It isn't about saying to another, oh, you have a shadow to work on. That's ego, right? That's your ego saying that, because we don't actually know. We don't actually know. We just hold space in our heart. We just expand our heart further for them to be on their highest path and us to be on our highest path. And that's the only thing we can do, really. We do our own healing. We focus in our own lane, right? Because this is the thing that goes hand in hand with that, is that when we, when we connect with another, when we collaborate with another, when we share amazing work that other people are doing, and then we decide to kind of pinch that off and just go, actually, no, why are we actually doing that? Do we actually fear that somewhere there isn't enough for everyone? You know, someone can, that if someone goes along with a workshop that person A is doing, that they don't want to do the workshop that person B is doing, that's not how it works, right? And that's not the way forward. That's the way backwards into, there's only so many pieces of the pie. There's not only so many pieces of the pie, right? So we have to tune into where we are laying our conviction and where we are laying our power, right? It's a very powerful message. It feels quite, to bring it through. If you're watching live, by the way, do feel welcome to say hi and ask questions along the way, should you have any. And same if you're on the replay, wherever you're watching this, because this will get cross-posted across Facebook and Instagram after we've finished doing this live on YouTube. So you can find those other channels at Ascensions Love with Alice. But yeah, it's really interesting, because when we get to that point of kind of anchoring into an old fear template, right, which, like I say, this is normal, because the collective is releasing this right now. The collective is wanting to release this. And so what happens is it rises up within us, and we see it without of us, right? We see it in others, but it's how we respond to that, right? It's how we hold space for one another if they're in that spot, right? If you know, and you'll know as well watching this, if you've ever been particularly triggered at that point in time when you were triggered, when our ego is kind of going, nothing will make sense to us, right? Nothing will make sense. And, fire coming back at us is not going to diffuse anything, right? It's not going to allow us the space to expand and to grow and to feel nurtured enough, right? To feel safe enough to shift that energy. So if our heart light shines brighter and we see something and it may not be, and we may see that it's not that person's truth, instead of calling it out or thinking that we know, because once again, that's our ego. When we think that we know someone better than they know themselves, we might be able to help and assist. But if they're not asking for that, right? If they're not asking for that, it's not for us to put our nose in, right? It's not for us to put our nose in. They can ask us for help and assistance when they're ready. And we hold the space so that we are approachable, right? Otherwise, we then anchor in, once again, a different type of wounded template, because we then stick our nose in somewhere. It's really interesting. It's a very touchy topic to be talking about. It's very, but a very powerful one all the same, because when we start to actually go, hold on, I know that the divine essence in me, which connects to source, which is source, is also like the divine essence in another person. They connect to source as well. So realistically, we all come from source, which means that if I am source and they are source, then that means that we are both one. And when we start to see it that way, it actually completely releases the need for competition, because we realize that we come from this ever abundant, ever fruitful and nourishing source energy, which we have more than enough that we actually need, so much so that we can bless others with our pockets, right? But like I say, a lot of this is very unconscious right now. It's subconscious even, you know. It's happening and it's playing out, but people aren't aware of it. They're not ready to be aware of it for perhaps. And in that space, in that moment, we just hold our hearts open. That's all we can do in that moment, right? Because as we look into a pot of water, right? If we look into a pot of water, if that water is calm and still, right, which can represent our being calm, our having our hearts open, that water is calm and still, we can see our reflection back. But if that water is bubbling because we're angry or we're triggered or the mind is running the show, we can't see a clear picture, right? And that goes for someone else coming back to us, right? If someone is triggered, we're looking at them in a way that is distorted as well, right? Because their waters may be bubbling, so we can't actually see the clear picture as well, right? Is this making sense? I think those that are meant to hear this message will hear it, but I think that's probably enough on that particular topic. We may see if the meditation wants to come through later about doing some work with this masculine energy, but really the masculine energy, we heal it through action, but through aligned action. Right? We don't go into action and go, I'm going to do this, this, and this, but we're not connected to our heart space. The way that we heal the masculine is by bringing it back down, bringing our thoughts down to our heart first to check if they're true. And if they're not, if that doesn't feel like truth, if we bring a thought down, something that we're saying or doing, and we go, oh, hold on, why am I saying and doing this? Is this truth? Someone's just said this to me, and that was a strange way for them to respond. We bring what we said down because they are only a mirror of us. Nothing is ever anyone else's fault. They are only a mirror for us to grow and expand, right? And that's the beauty of this world. It's very practical mystery schools. There is no other place like it, and that's why we want to be here. This very, very powerful time. And so we look back at ourselves, right? We look back at ourselves. What is there to heal here? We heal through action. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means when we bring something to our heart space, when we've anchored our vibration, and that means get out of our head, get into the present, get out of our head, get into the present, go outside, go for a walk, go into nature, get your hands in the soil, have a nap, watch something funny. When you hug someone, right? Someone that obviously wants a hug back. Don't just randomly start hugging people without consent, but do something to help your body release the endorphins it needs, shift that vibration to a higher place, and then take action. And you don't even have to think about that action when you're in that place. You simply feel so inspired to do something that it will be the right thing to do. And that's how we act from a sovereign, from a healed place versus a wounded place, right? That's how we start to rebuild faith and trust in our ability to provide and our ability to feel stable, because we don't feel stable because we're going off false premises, right? False beliefs. That's the only reason why we don't feel stable. That's the only reason we feel afraid, or we feel worried about something, or we feel like, oh, it doesn't sit right. That doesn't sit well with me. We hear people, especially in the light worker world, oh, it doesn't resonate. Okay, great. Does it actually not resonate with your heart space, or is there a charge in your stomach? Right? Does it not resonate as truth to your heart, or is there a charge in your stomach? Right? In which case it's your own fear belief. It's our own fear belief. Right? Because if it doesn't resonate in your heart space, we wouldn't be saying those words. We'd be thanking them and politely declining. Right? Rather than making an excuse, because that's what the mind will do. The mind needs to justify everything. This is really deep work. It's a real deep topic, but everyone that has messaged and reached out to me has said they've been feeling this intense energy and this kind of like pokiness, this fiery pokiness. I'm like, good, feel it. Let it move through you. Let it move through you. Don't let it get stuck. Let it move through, let it ground, and bring it back to the heart every time, and then choose to act in a different way. I'm going to draw on the unicorns right now. No, I'm not. I'm going to draw on the dragons. I'm going to draw on the dragons as to what's going to come through next week as well. So a few dragon cards. What's going to come through next week? What do we need to be aware of? How can we best anchor our highest light, right? And move forward in a real smooth way. So on the bottom of the deck, we have the Sunshine Yellow Dragon. Sunshine Yellow Dragon is beautiful. It's very connected with the animals. We can learn a lot from the animal kingdom. We can learn so much from the animals. You know, they just go about their day. The birds, they tweet, they fly, they have a lot of fun finding seed and nuts and things to build their home. You know, they don't wake up one morning and go, oh shoot, there's just not going to be enough twigs today. Birds don't do that. They don't wake up and go, oh my gosh, Fred, have you seen it? There's a twig shortage. Have you heard about the twig shortage? No, but there's loads of twigs around. There's loads of trees around. It doesn't seem that way. Yeah, but someone says there's a twig shortage. Birds don't do that. We can learn a lot from the animals. Squirrels, they'll go out, they'll look for nuts and things like that. They'll bury most of them, forget they're there. Squirrels don't go out going, oh my gosh, do you think this person's going to have seeds or nuts for me? What if they're not home? I'll have to go somewhere else. They just carry on. They have fun doing it. They, you know, enjoy some of the obstacle courses some neighbors kind of put out for them. But, you know, the animals don't have those worries because that's all in the mind, right? That's the mind creating that because we've given our power away. So the Sunshine Yellow Dragon is helping us remember how easy it is to actually be. Observe the animals, spend some time with them. Dogs, cats, look at what they do. Your cat at home. Oh, I feel like I could do with like my human, you know, you can pet me for a little bit, you know, and then the cat comes over and then you pet the cat. And then the cat's like, oh, that's great. I've had enough of that now. You know, they've replenished what they want, right? They've got what they want and they're just going to go off in their own space. They don't go, I'm just going to collect all these extra pets and strokes and I'm going to collect all of this just in case my human doesn't want to do that tomorrow. That doesn't happen. We've got so much to learn from the animal kingdom. Be like animals, right? Fire and Water Dragon is coming out as well. Help us clear that solar plexus energy, because there is a big solar plexus being awakened right now, and that's no coincidence that it's your inner sun, right? That inner sun resides there. And with the harmony of day and night, of sun and moon, you know, with the equinox energy, it's no wonder that there is an upgrade happening in the solar plexus, because the old version of the solar plexus was only there to tell us when we had to be afraid. Now it's upgraded so that we can discern and attract what we want, create what we want, magnetize and go get what we want, right? So the Fire and Water Dragon allows us to have change occur, but flow in that wonderful change, because that is what is happening. That's why it's so tumultuous for people right now. That's why it feels so pokey. So, ooh, what's happening? It doesn't feel good. What's happening? Change is happening. You're releasing outdated beliefs. But the thing is that when we release that, you know, it has to come out. It has to move from within us outwardly, right? And the last thing we see is interactions with others, right? Showing us what we are releasing. And in that moment, all we do is we have to go, breathe. Okay, that's okay. That's all good. Love, 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 right? The Fire and Water Dragon reminds us to have fun as well. That fire energy. Think of Leo energy. I always think of Leo energy with this card. Have fun. Be playful. Inner child stuff. The child is always present, like the animals, present. And when we are present, everything we need comes through, because we're not worrying and blocking, right? What we think that we need. We try and actively manifest something, but instead we're actually blocking it because we're worried about it. Really, we're not connecting with the underlying energy. We're trying to think about it too much. Deep Blue Dragon coming through to help us clear the path as well. So, you know, there's still going to be more energy bursting through, right? This is that Aries season as well. I did a video just for my email list, which will be sent out on email later today. But we talk a little bit more about Aries season, right? You can sign up for that email list on my website, aliceheath.com. But, you know, this Deep Blue Dragon is kind of like putting Archangel Michael's cloak around us. Trust that we are protected, because we are. Because we've created this whole world. Right? We are safe. Every time you've ever thought you weren't safe, you've got through it. Because you're watching this, you're hearing this. You've always been safe. We just make situations worse for ourselves, right? It's time to release the karma. We have to forgive. And if we choose not to, I can't forgive this person because of what they've done. You don't know what they've done to me. No, I don't. But I tell you what, unless you want to repeat the cycle and make it worse next time around, you're going to have to forgive. That's your choice to make. It doesn't impact me. Okay? So we're getting to the point now where we're really being called out by ourselves. Is it time to release the karma? Because we're going to be, that's what's coming next week. He's going to continue to encourage us to face some of the things that we want to release. And that will be individual for each person. Right? But you are protected. Trust that. And call upon this dragon. Call upon the deep blue dragon. See that cloak of Michael wrap around you, Archangel Michael, protect you, keep you safe. He's like a divine father figure as well, Archangel Michael, right? And finally, we have that Earthen Air Dragon coming in again. I think this card came through in the Aries reading and last week's as well. This is the perfect balance between heaven and earth, because that's the whole point, right? The masculine energy descends through our higher chakras and wants to ground, right? That freedom, masculine is freedom. We learn this in the Tantra, right? The masculine is freedom, holding everything safe. And until we are healed in our masculine, it will not feel safe. But every time we do not feel safe, it's ourselves calling ourselves forth into sovereignty, into love, into healing. The feminine energy, she is love. She wants to rise, that sensuality energy, rise, that kundalini rises. And they meet like heaven and earth. They meet in the heart, forming this most sacred divine union within. And when it's all heart connected, this dragon's calling us to stay balanced, right? So that's the energy of next week. We're clearing, we're still transmuting, but it's so that we can stay balanced. It's so that we can be balanced and anchored in our manifestations and make them physical. All the things that we've been asking for, that we desire, they're on their way as long as we can be present and just have fun. Okay? If we're feeling an emotion, feel it. Don't block it, feel it. It's all good. Let's draw a couple more cards here. So which archangels are supporting this coming week? What do we need to know from the archangels? Lady Gaia, look at that. Yeah, because all the solar coding that has come through this past week is now like, we are the channel. We are the bridge between heaven and earth. We are that tree trunk, right? Letting the light travel down into her to allow her to ascend, right? As she ascends, we ascend, because we are born of the earth. We are physically formed just like the earth, with water in her oceans, water in our veins, right? She reminds us, Lady Gaia reminds us that our challenges, the challenges that we have, they are lessons that we enrolled upon ourselves. We chose those lessons. And yes, they may make us tired. Yes, we may be going, oh my gosh, okay, this is a big one. Yeah, but we're also, we only enrolled upon those lessons because we knew what getting the results will do, how that will make us feel, and what we want to work through. We only enrolled upon those classes that we're all uniquely going through, but collectively also going through, because we want to evolve as well. We want to evolve and be different, act differently, like embody a different energy, go from carbon to crystalline. But it's not a overnight switch, right? We have to shake free, break free of everything that we've created, every solid structure that we've created for the old world. Because if we hold on to that, guess what? We're going to continue to create the old way of being. If we want to create a new world, then we have to get out of our comfort zone. That's where growth is. And yes, you may be tired, but guess what? You're being called then to shift other things. It's not about the lessons. It's about how you are fueling your body, what you're putting in your body, how you're spending your time, where you're putting your energy, how you're honoring yourself. Because that's the big one, right? That's the big one. How are we honoring ourselves? That and Seraphim on the bottom of the deck. We did a call on the third, 3-3. It was a master codes, where it's a beautiful Seraphim attunement. We worked with Mary Magdalene and Yeshua as well. I would highly recommend, if you haven't watched that, or even if you did purchase the recording, watch it again. Watch it again right now. And if you haven't, I'll remember to put a link in here as well, so that you can find that if you wish to have access to that recording, because it was so powerful. And we literally worked with both of these two beings in preparation for the equinox and for what we're going to be feeling. This is about divine will. This coming week is about divine will, right? And it's time for us to remember that we are divine will. But our divine will does not come from a wounded mind based on patterns that have been formed from unhealed traumas from our parents. But at the same time, if we say, oh, it's because of my dad or my mom, then guess what? We are no better. We are not healing that. Because it is no one's fault, because you are them. Until you can see them in innocent light, until you can see them as their own beautiful beings, rather than a parent that has done this, this, or this, and gave you this upbringing. Until you can see them as individual, beautiful beings of light, we're not going to heal that, right? And you're not going to release the karma that you came in to heal with them. So you have a choice to make. This is a call to action from your soul to you, not from me. I'm just translating the message and bringing the message through. It doesn't, like I say, it doesn't impact anyone else. It only impacts you, what choices you choose to make. Because there is a divergence happening. You know, the people that are tuning into X, Y, and Z, creating that in their world around them, and people that are tuning into A, B, and C over here, are creating that around them. Those worlds don't meet anymore. Which one do you want to be in? Old or new? You get to choose that, and that's a beautiful thing. We're in a space and time where the community as well help one another, love one another, connect with one another. I see it on my YouTube actually a fair bit right now. I get people from structured religion commenting, thinking that they're helping save someone because they're commenting a load of fear on my channel. And, you know, if that's what they feel is helping, great. But at the same time, their soul is also calling out to be helped. And the reason I bring this up is because this card here, right? Caring community. How can we care for one another regardless of what they're saying? You know, a beautiful bumblebee at my window knocking to come in. It's like, hello, bumblebee. Using sound. Oh, the bumblebees use sound to levitate, don't they? Because their body is too heavy, really, for their wings. So they levitate with sound. We can rise up with sound. How are you using your voice? How are you singing? How are you calling into being what you need, what you desire? It's time that we participate and connect with one another and collaborate with one another in purity of heart. Look at this, and we have pure intention here. Right? Do we reach out to another because we think they've got a large audience and they're going to be able to help us promote something? Or do we reach out to them because we actually care about them? Where is your intention? Does someone message you because they want something, or do they message you because they care? This is the differentiation that is being made, and people can feel it. I always get reached out. I always get messages about MLM, right? MLM businesses and things like that. And I think they're great. And they work for certain people, right? They work for whoever puts the work in. But it's really interesting because I will reply to some people, depend on the energy that they bring through. But then if it's a mass message that, you know, they have no care, their intention isn't pure, you know, I'm not going to reply to that. I'm just going to send them love on their way, right? But it's the same type of thing. How are we interacting with one another, right? How are we interacting with one another, right? How are we enriching another person's life? Because once again, that person is you in a different form and a different energy. And until we realize that, we're not going anywhere. We're not really doing the work until we realize that. Right? So it's a call to action. So it's time to surrender the ego. The unicorns are helping us with that, helping us come together, helping us find pure intention, and helping us tune into our heart. Because this is the thing, is that, you know, this is where we struggle, is actually what is our heart message and what is our mind message. And people ask me all the time, how do I discern that? And how do I discern an old pattern through actual pure intention? Take it to your heart. What does your heart say? Listen to your heart. Your heart will never steer you wrong. But unless you've taken the moment, unless you've taken the time to actually ground and anchor and breathe deeply, breathe for a few minutes until you feel your body flood with love from your heart up and down, you know that there's going to be a shadow of ego there. And that's okay. That's okay, because that ego serves us. It's part of being human. We mustn't push that away. We just have to understand it, to reclaim it, to harmonize with it, so that the ego and your heart are on the same page, not total opposite, right? So It is a time, last card here, it is a time of divine potential. Higher soul contracts, divine potential. What is it that you are here to do? This gateway that we've just gone through has literally unraveled that for you. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process, because you'll feel so much more accomplished when you get there, knowing that you did that. Right? Be all that you can be. It's time. It is time. You are calling yourself forward. No one else. You might hear the message from someone else, right? Someone else might be helping you to do the healing and holding the container, and that's great. That's what other people are here for, right? Energy always needs to remain balanced, right? Energy always needs to remain balanced, so that we heal the imbalances, right? So it is time for that golden foundation, the divine potential, to come forth. You've got this. You have got this. Standing in your power. It's time for you to stand in your power and really take stock on what it is that you're putting out there. Verbally, action, thoughts. What are you putting out there? Really have accountability, and that's going to be difficult for many people, right? For most people. You know, I have moments where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've been putting this out there and I haven't realized. I've not realized until, you know, this point. That's okay. Have grace about it. You weren't meant to realize until then. It's good. It's fine. It's how we act and shift and change as time progresses. So yeah, I'm gonna close this reading up. Next week, like we say, just to recap, it's still a powerful week ahead. It's going to continue on the equinox energies, right? We're going to continue through that. We've got this Aries energy, this forward, fiery motion taking us forward, tapping into our divine potential, our true self, and purifying, because fire is a purifier. Fire cleanses. Right? The ancients would burn down the forests that they want to, create stronger foundations in. So if they want to have a really fertile season in the summer, you burn down in the winter to create fertile soil, right? Controlled burning. That's what's happening right now. Right? And that will reflect in the outer world as well. That's okay. It's not always a bad thing. So I send you all so much love. I'm really excited to be chatting with Jerome tonight. So like I say, 8:15 UK time. I will see you all there on Instagram, and I look forward to, if you really do want to, clear through and access your soul potential, your highest potential, right? What it is that, all this fire energy and all this kind of, the illusions and the shadows are bringing you. I encourage you to look at the From Illusion to Love course that Melissa and I are running, because we're going to be looking at all these wounded inner child, narcissist, empath, twin flame, soulmate, wholemate type of stuff, father wound, mother wound, all of it. Sisterhood, passive aggressive competitiveness, ego. We're going to be looking at all of that, really leaning into our heart space and letting that blossom. Right. So it'll be an honor to see you all there. And like I say, there's an early bird on as well, so do make the most of that while it's there. So yeah, send you all so much love, and I'll see you on Sunday for Pranic Sunday. We'll see what we are bringing forth to help you master your energy. So I always look forward to those videos. I think we're doing Wim Hof breathing maybe on Sunday, so we'll see. Anyway, I'll speak to you all soon. Lots of love. Bye.